Well, a big announcement today from Ron Paul. He announced he would stop spending money on active campaigning, but he hasn't given up fighting for delegates. Now, we've already seen plenty of surprises at state Republican conventions in terms of Ron Paul winning the majority of delegates in those states that had originally gone to Romney or Santorum. And this past weekend, we also saw violence break out between Romney and Paul supporters, not to mention one of Mitt Romney's sons, Josh Romney, getting booed off the stage at the Arizona Republican Party convention. Take a look.
Make sure that it says paid for Romney and that it's green. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
All right, we've been saying this for a while, folks, that just because many people have called the race and put it to bed, let's at least not forget about Ron Paul. So I want to talk more about this with Robin Koerner, publisher of Watching America. Robin, let's talk first about today's announcement. Is this simply Ron Paul not wanting to spend money he doesn't have, or is he done?
Oh, no, I think he's just reconfirming that he's going to spend the money he does have wisely. You know, the strategy was never based on those things that he today said he's not going to be doing. So, you know, as a ardent Ron Paul supporter, I'm not much concerned, to be honest.
And we showed video from over the weekend of Mitt Romney's son getting booed. Now, I also want to play part of a small local news story, something that also happened over the weekend in Oklahoma.
This woman right here, Mrs. has physically assaulted me.
The video you're watching is being recorded by a woman who says she was just hit in the back. This wasn't the only commotion during the Oklahoma Republican State Convention. This Ron Paul supporter says he was hit in the head by a 70-year-old Mitt Romney supporter. Here's video moments after the altercation as officers defuse the situation.
Robin, what do you think? I mean, is this a preview for what we might expect in Florida in August at the Republican National Convention?
I hope not, because Ron Paul's politics are premised on the principle of non-aggression, which I think is kind of a good principle to take anywhere, including Tampa. You know, but there are going to be fireworks, I think. You know, there's this line about the revolution hasn't been televised. It's going to be hard not to televise it in Tampa. So I'm kind of quietly excited as to what we're going to see, because I think it's possible that the nation will see that the ideas that Ron Paul represents are a lot more important to a lot more people than, you know, they might currently realize.
And we should say that Ron Paul and his campaign have not condoned this violence. They've condemned it. A lot of it, though, happening to Ron Paul supporters, people who just want to see this thing wrapped up. There's a lot of talk recently about the delegate strategy that Ron Paul has really, you know, said he intended to use all along and has been using. Still, a whole lot of people surprised over the last couple of weeks with some of those delegate victories at Republican state conventions in places like Maine and Nevada. I know we're keeping our eyes on states like Michigan and Minnesota, but I'm wondering, I mean, what do you expect to happen? Do you think he's going to still win the majority of delegates in some of these states?
Oh, Ron Paul's going to win a few more states based on delegate count. I've no doubt about it. The question is, what do they do about that big number of delegates in Tampa? And, you know, the big elephant in the room. And what are his supporters that are going to have this platform? What are they going to do with it? I mean, if there's some discussion right now whether any of the delegates really are bound. But even if they are the Ron Paul people going to play ball, or will they feel kind of morally justified based on what's happened to them through the campaign to perhaps just throw a spanner in the works and vote their consciences? You know, who knows what could happen?
Well, we'll be watching because it should be interesting no matter what. But I'm wondering, you know, after the Republican National Convention in August, there's still a little more than two months to go before the actual election. I mean, what do Ron Paul supporters do, assuming Romney becomes the nominee, during those 2 months? I mean, do they take their enthusiasm, their energy to Romney?
I can't see it. And nobody that I've spoken to, you know, under the umbrella of the Blue Republican movement, which is kind of what I represent, yeah, the liberals and independents who are swinging behind Ron Paul, none of them are going to do it. And I also think there are even plenty of what you might call true conservatives, social conservatives, more of the Santorum mold, that are going to have a hard time with Romney. This is a big question that the GOP is going to have to answer for itself in Tampa. If they alienate this huge chunk of the base that you might call the Liberty Republicans. What then happens? What chance then for Romney? It's a tough decision, I think, for the party mainstream.
And that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, certainly we're not going to see Mitt Romney decide that he's a pacifist and wants to end all the wars. There's certain principles that Ron Paul holds dear that are just, we're not going to see either candidate sort of embrace them. But what can Mitt Romney say, to really get more support, to get some of those Ron Paul supporters to come his way?
Probably there will just be a few, just statistically, he's going to get some. But it's very hard to imagine that he could say anything consistent with anything he said before, which is kind of ironic given what a flip-flopper he is. But, anything that's consistent that would attract the liberty movement. So, the only thing that I think could really make a difference would be if he could actually sit down in a room with Ron Paul and convince Ron Paul that he's had some road to Damascus experience and basically, get Ron Paul's endorsement that way. I mean, I trust Ron Paul enough. I think the man is of enough sufficient authenticity and integrity that if he said, Romney has said that he's reversed positions on A, B, and C, I believe him, I'm supporting him, please you do it too, then I would seriously consider that. But I just can't imagine the hypothetical world in which that happens, so we'll see.
And a lot of the Ron Paul supporters that we talk to, they do say this is a revolution, it's not about one election. But let me get your take, Robin. I mean, some of the ideas that Ron Paul has been, espousing for years now have become more and more mainstream. They've become things that some, regular run-of-the-mill Republicans have embraced. I'm wondering, what do you think will sort of translate and seep into future policy in the very near future that sort of was a Ron Paul original idea?
Oh, yeah, so many things. I mean, one of the reasons what you're implying here is going to happen is that the Liberty Republicans have taken over so many of the states and the counties with respect to the GOP, that those county and state platforms are being rewritten in the spirit of, Ron Paul republicanism, in a more kind of libertarian, with a more libertarian sensibility. So there will be changes. They're already coming down the pipe. They're kind of unstoppable. Obviously, the monetary system is now mainstream. It's now possible to get on a stage at a Republican convention and espouse the benefits of peace. Can you imagine that just 4 years ago? The momentum is really quite incredible. And civil rights. I mean, there are some serious voices for civil rights, which is maybe the most troubling area in the U.S. politics today, both on the left and right. We've obviously had the NDAA come down. We didn't think Obama could do anything worse than the Patriot Act, but here we have the NDAA, and there is executive orders left, right, and center. CISPA that you were just discussing earlier in the show. These are big issues. People like Rand Paul and others, and even some people on the left. I mean, Kucinich now doesn't have the platform he did, but there are known names all over the political spectrum that are going to take advantage of the mainstreaming of liberty-oriented issues, which are definitely the most important political issues in the U.S. today. Certainly
the idea of a smaller government adopted by so many people, especially seeing what's going on. Really quick, I just need you to make a prediction. Do the majority of Ron Paul supporters in November vote for Obama, for Romney, for Gary Johnson, or do they write in Ron Paul?
Oh, I think there's going to be an extraordinary number of write-ins for Ron Paul. The difficulty is that they won't all be counted everywhere. There will not be a block vote. It won't be Romney. There will be a good number who will go back to Obama. There's a certain sense that another 4 years of Obama gets a Liberty Republican in quicker than putting Romney in. So there'll be some who make that decision too.
All right, Robin Koerner, publisher of Watching America. Thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Good to be with you. Thank you.